right, I hope. Okay, what do you see on the screen? What do you see on screen? I just want to make sure you see the right screen. Okay, so whichever, these sessions, I've made it in such a way that these are all standalone sessions, and you can get maximum value out of each and every session as a standalone session. You need not have to really come to my earlier session to understand each and every session. Each and every session. However, you can access my previous videos also, and you can upgrade your knowledge on all the tools. In each and every session, I take up a particular tool. Today, we are going to tool or a topic, okay? So that standalone topic will be interesting. But if you want to have that in sequence, you can watch my earlier videos or also upgrade yourself to a certification program where I will tell you exactly, how to go step by step from the beginning. All right. So Pareto principle. Okay. I just quickly want to know how many of you know about the Pareto principle. Just type KNOW. If you don't know, type NO. So let's see how many NOs are there and how many KNOW are there. Okay, there is a few NOs there, and there are quite a few NOs there, KNOW there. All right, I'm surprised many of them don't know about the Pareto principle. Okay, fine. Thank you very much for this thing. When I say Pareto principle, what rule comes to your mind? Okay, someone has already put that rule, but I want to see what rule comes to your mind when you talk about Pareto. 80-20 rule. All of you type 80-20 rule in the chat box, okay? 80-20 rule. Fantastic. So Pareto principle states that roughly 80% of the consequences, problems, are 20% of the causes. How many of you agree with me? And how many of you super agree with me? Pareto says 80% of the problem is caused by 20% of the causes. Good. Okay, I'm going to share with you something interesting. Okay. So in the Bible, okay, all of you once again, Merry Christmas. All of you type Merry Christmas in the chat box and Happy New Year in the chat box. MC and HNY. MC and HNY. In the Bible, the ship built by Noah to save his family and 2 of every kind of animal from the flood. Okay. Okay. Of course, when you come to my upcoming webinar, I have Christmas and New Year offers. Okay. So if you really want to upgrade yourself at some special offers, this is the link to click and you have these offers. Okay. Okay. Now, vital few and trivial many. I'll explain to you what it is. Okay. Now, here I'm going to suppose if there is a ship, okay, and you are in an island. In the island, you are alone as a king. Okay, as a king means, you are taking care of all the animals there, and then suddenly the flood comes inside the island, or the fire breaks out inside the island. You want to load all the animals, okay, into the ship. So if you want to save maximum, imagine that there are small rabbits also, and there are some goats or deers. You have big elephants also. Now you have loaded all the animal. The ship is about to sink. The ship is about to sink. Now, which animal would you offload so that you can accommodate maximum number of animals? Just put it in the chat box. Which animal would you offload the ship? The heavier ones, the biggest ones, the elephants. Exactly. So, If you're a Noah and your ark or the ship is about to sink, look for elephants first, because you can throw over a bunch of cats, you can throw dogs, squirrels, and everything else, but that is just a small animal, and your ship will still keep sinking. Okay, but if you can find one elephant to get overboard, you are in much better shape. How many of you like this example? Just give it a like in the chat box. Okay, and that is why we always have to look for vital few. Vital few means the heavy animals instead of trivial many. Okay, trivial many. In Six Sigma also, for a problem, there might be, let's say, 10 causes, and you would find 2 or 3 causes would be the major cause. Okay, if this is clear, type SC super clear in the chat box or CC crystal clear in the chat box. Let's proceed. All right, thank you very much. So let's look at Pareto principle. 1848 to 1923, this gentleman called Vilfredo Pareto, he was an economist, okay? And he found that 80% of the wealth was with 20% of the people, okay? And he wrote a book which said, with 20% efforts, you can get 80% results. And this was proven time and again in various areas. The book name is The Secret to Achieving More with Less. So let me ask you a question now. What is the significance of 80-20 in relation to Pareto charts? Okay. It indicates 80% of the causes contribute to 80% of the problems. 80% causes should be ignored. It emphasizes the need to address the most significant causes first, and it refers to the portion of the time spent in analyzing data versus implement, which choose the best answer. Choose the best answer. What is the significance? Right. It emphasizes the need to address the most significant causes. Very good. Fantastic. This right answer. Let me go to the next question. Oh, only one question. Okay, happy. Okay, dividing data into categories. So far, we have looked at the data that has either a time order or a numeric order. The tools that we have used is control charts, frequent, and all that. Okay. Now, we have to sort it by categories. Okay. The best chart for that is Pareto. Categories means, for example, defect is a category. Okay. Defect is a category. And you can say, okay, blue, red, that is a category. So we will see some practical examples, and we will go through this. Now, what is the typical data typically suitable for analysis of Pareto analysis? That's why I introduced something called as, there are 2 types of variables, continuous variables, discrete variables, and these discrete variables as categories. The categories like, defects, the region, country, region, or some other categories. Okay. So that's why I'm asking you this question. What type of data is typically suitable for analysis of Pareto? Continuous data, qualitative data, categorical data, time series data. So let's refresh it through a question. Okay, what is the answer? Obvious, right? Just now I revealed the answer. So, right, categorical data. That's important. Okay. So the Pareto principle is like this. Now, if you see all these, find the odd one out here. Find the odd one out here. Which one is the odd one out here? The last one? Okay, I'll tell you why it is odd one, okay? That one is responsible for eating up all the cheese in the house, okay? So I just wanted to put it in a very, I saw this somewhere. So I said, okay, out of 100, this guy is responsible for this, okay? Not the remaining 80. So try to attack this 20, then you can save your cheese, okay? If you like it, just give a smiley or thumbs up in the chat box, okay? So Pareto is often described as 80-20 rule because 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of the contributors. Like this 20% contributor is this type of rat, okay? So that's why we call it as a vital few. Okay, let's come back to the question now. I wanted to bring in, this time I wanted to bring in like a fun way of learning. Okay, how many of you are having some fun? Just type FUN in the chat box because I don't want statistic to be like boring stuff, okay? I really wanted you to learn with fun. Okay, how many of you are learning with fun? Type LWF in the chat box. LWF, learning with fun. All right? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Enjoy the learning. Let's proceed, okay? I will ask questions to calibrate you from the time to time. And if you really wanted to learn, be a lifelong learner and attend all these sessions, okay, you can, at some point in stage, if you want internationally recognized certifications, you can also upgrade to you can also upgrade the link is given in the chat box, okay? Okay, which of the following statement is true regarding the Pareto principle, okay? It states that 10% of the problems can be solved by addressing 100% of the causes. Sorry, it states that 100% of the problems solved by 100%, such as 80% of the problems caused by 20% of the factors. Emphasizes the importance of addressing all causes equally, and named after the inventor of Pareto chart. Let's see what. Oh, yeah, right. That's obvious, right? That's what we are talking about now. Thank you very much. Okay, a quick overview. Let's look at the quick overview of this Pareto chart. Something like this, okay? A, B, C, D, F are called the categories, okay? And it comes in the descending order, like height order. All of you type HO in the chat box. Like all of you stand in the height order. All the boys, girls stand in the height order. Like, command. So likewise, you arrange the major factors first in the descending order. Okay. Most significant opportunities for improvements. This is done through sampling and determines what types or quantities of defects. Okay. You can say defect A is a significant contributor here, the pink one, or a reddish one, bright red one. And B, yellow, both of them put together might be 80% out of the 6 that is given here. Right. Let's continue. And so it can be made as a tally table created from single column of data. So you can have the attributes in anything, severity, detectable, cost, defects. In the order of severity also you can arrange in the height order, which is most severe or which is most detectable, where the cost is high, where the defects are high, whichever way that you want to do the Pareto. You can do that. A weighted Pareto can help in identifying which higher cost items occur infrequently. So let's go to the grocery example, okay? Let's take the grocery example. We put this bar chart in Excel and arrange it in the descending order of this. Okay. Now, let's see this problem. A Pareto chart is a graphical tool that breaks a big problem into its part. And a grocery store, suppose you are running a grocery stores and you find that there are a lot of items that get spoiled, right? Based on shelf life or because of not taking care properly, there are a lot of items that get spoiled. The meat gets spoiled, the dairy gets spoiled, the bakery gets spoiled, or some produce gets spoiled, and stuff like that. So, in the amount of spoilage in terms of dollars is written here. Okay. So, question to you: which category of item, which item has maximum spoilage? Just put in the chat box. Just want to see your observation. Want to see your observation. Produce, and how much dollars is wasted through spoilage for produce? How much dollars approximately? 13K, right? Okay. 13K is, yeah. Now identify which parts are most important, and then we can attack this problem. Okay, first we should see what is the produce. Very simple. If it is clear, type super clear in the chat box. I go in a very simple way and then we'll go a little deeper. Okay, super clear? Fantastic. Now, I've started impregnating with questions after every 1 or 2 slides. Okay, what is the primary purpose of Pareto chart? Is it to display trend over time? Is it to identify potential causes of the problem? You should prioritize based on the frequency or impact, or monitor process stability. So this is actually certification questions. In my certification courses, I ask this. Now, only when you understand this subject depth, most of you are typing B and C, right? Okay, let me tell you the answer. It's to prioritize. All of you type prioritize in the chat box. Pareto is to prioritize the causes. The fishbone diagram is to organize the causes. The brainstorming is to list the causes. YY analysis is to find the root causes. Okay, I will repeat. Brainstorming is to list the causes. The cause and effect diagram is to organize the causes. Pareto is to prioritize the causes. And YY analysis do the root causes. Okay. If this is clear, type SC, super clear in the chat box. Now, the other thing that you have to do further, now you are going to try to find out YY analysis and the root cause, and then in produce itself, which produce has got major thing. Okay, let's take the same grocery store example, amount of spillage. I will explain the components of the Pareto chart. Okay, now units are clearly labeled here. The category is clearly written here on the x-axis. Units are clearly labeled on the y-axis. And the data is divided into categories like we see produce here, meat here, dairy here, right? Bakery here. And then the others, there can be many other things which can be grouped, and that will form a very small list. Okay, so others can be grouped and put here, even if it is not the shortest. Okay. And the height of the vertical axis should be the sum of all the occurrences. Okay. And the bars show the relative importance arranged in the descending order. The descending order is very, very important, with the tallest bar on the left. You can take a screenshot of this if you really like it. And now, if this is clear on a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10 if the components of this Pareto chart features are very clear. On a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10 if it is super, super fun. Good. Which of the following is typically represented on the vertical axis of Pareto chart? Let's see, without showing the answers, I want the answers from you. Vertical axis, what sort of Pareto chart is used? Let's see. Number of defects. Okay. Frequency, yes. Time, frequency, percentage, quantity, characteristic. Now you can type the answer. Yeah, frequency is the right answer. Good. All right, let's go to the... In Pareto chart, what does the length of each bar represent? Length or height, okay? What does it represent? You can put it in the chat box. Is it a percentage occurrences or number of occurrences, cumulative frequency or time period? Yeah, count is also correct. Okay, B is the correct answer, right? The number of occurrences or the count, right? Awesome. So you can also apply to any company, even in insurance company. I've tried to take different examples. Okay, if you take insurance, the type of complaint, if you see, you make a customer call, they say, okay, service related issue, fire related, underwriting, agent, service. You keep on collecting the data and finally put a tally here. Okay. You count the number of service related complaints, you count the number of fire related complaints. Which is the highest here? Where will you attack first? If you collect this data of complaints, where will you attack first? Service. Okay. Because now under service, you need to find out YY analysis, go into the root cause and collect data, because there could be different categories under service. Okay. Okay, I'll give you a lot of examples, case studies in my upcoming webinar. Okay, in my certification next level program. In next level program, if you want to really upgrade, then click on the link and ensure that you attend the webinar to upgrade yourself to yellow belt or green belt certifications. And there I will, once you be a part of it, I'll give you all the templates and everything to do this Pareto chart. Okay. So there was a corporate mandate to improve customer satisfaction. So they called all the customers. They gathered all these details here. All the customer complaints of the previous year on the data is shown in this chart. And then finally, we did a Pareto chart on that. We saw that the service was the highest. So we know what to interpret, right? And what to do next, right? Next is we need to go into service and ensure that we go into deeper into service and understand the causes why the service issues are there. Okay. Okay. Some workplace example. The objective, you can practice applying Pareto principles to your real business situations. Several examples of Pareto principles I'll show you. I'll flash you on the screen, and you can relate to any one of these. Okay. You can come up with your own Pareto, and you can do an exercise as a group. And this particular deeper exercises templates I share in my green belt certification program, and how to get this green belt certification program is something that I'll explain in the upcoming webinar, because this is purely knowledge sharing webinar and I didn't want to sell anything here. Okay. Okay. Now, there's one more example like hospitality industry, and you can see which one should be attacked first here as per Pareto principle. Which are the two things that you will attack first? Yeah, room and front desk. Excellent. Absolutely. Right? Great. So you can create a Pareto chart, and I have created a Pareto chart just quickly. You can do this as a 10 minutes exercise, and I give a sheet like this, and you can draw the Pareto inside the sheet. This is how we can do with the team. Okay. So we can say, does the Pareto principle, you can ask these questions, does the Pareto principle apply? Of course, if it applies, because if you attack two of these categories, then you can get 80% of the results. And which category amount for most problems? You could see, you have already typed room and front desk, right? And how do you solve the problem? What do you do next to solve the problem? You go deeper into, hey, what is the room service issues? What are the issues? What are the categories under room service? And what are the categories under front desk? And see a Pareto inside Pareto. Okay. And then the team came up with something like this. Okay, yes, Pareto principle holds good. Room and front desk account for the maximum amount of problem. And another Pareto, that is, I said Pareto inside Pareto. Okay, all of you type PIP in the chat box. Pareto inside Pareto. Okay, this is just for you to remember. Okay, PIP. And then find out. Now here you see lost big contracts. This is another case. Salespeople try to analyze why they have lost contract. It's because of lack of capacity and capability, not because of price or terms. Okay. And computer downtime. Why is the computer downtime? Mostly because of schedule maintenance, hardware failure. These are the two major reasons. And unexplained reasons are categorized at the last. Okay. You can put that for this. And most of his call customer service line concern only a handful of many services offered, right? So if you see the Pareto chart, sometimes it may not form the Pareto. There might be a lot of okay. So here, this is one type of Pareto chart showing call center defects. 80% of the time you will get Pareto effect, okay? That also there is a Pareto effect. Okay, a handful of machine accounts for major amount of breakdown. Let's see breakdown of the machines, okay? And you can see that the packing machines 1 and 2 contribute to 80+%, okay? Few defects contribute to major rejection. If you see dent and paint in this contribute to major type of rejection. Okay, so far, if you are finding examples interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, please put it in the chat box. Let me also draw some inspiration, okay, from your comments. Good. Good. Thank you very much. And the diagnostics category of patients visiting hospitals. Okay, you can see that coronary heart failures. Okay, somebody is asking, why is this line going up? This is actually cumulative. Coronary forms certain percentage, and then finally it is 100%. All these percentage, individual percentages, cumulative percentage. All of you type CP in the chat box. Somebody asked, what is this line that is going up? Line that is going up is a cumulative percentage. How many of you understood this? Accumulated percentage. It's called cumulative percentage. Yeah. Good question. Okay. So that you know 80% comes here. In Pareto charts, how categories are arranged? Alphabetically by frequency of impact from highest to lowest, alphabetical order of frequency, or randomly. Let's see the answers. Obvious answer, right? You're right. By the frequency of impact. from highest to lowest. All right, thank you very much. Now, it is very useful to determine which steps in the process contribute to majority of defects. Sometimes it will help you in assessing the bottlenecks. Okay, it will prioritize our focus. So just to summarize, the 80-20 rule, the in defects or variations are 20% of the product line, 80% of the waste. If there are many product lines, you can see, okay, just this 20% of the product lines is producing 80% of the waste, or 20% of variables are contributing to 80% of the problems. It can be defect variation, etc. Or 20% of the defect generate 80% of cost of poor quality. Okay. Let's again enter into a question. What is the purpose of cumulative percentage line in Pareto chart? To represent the average value, to show the distribution of data, to indicate the cumulative contribution of each and every category, to display trends over time. I think I've explained this because of somebody asked this question. Yes, it is to indicate the cumulative contribution of the excellent. Awesome. Amazing participation today. When analyzing Pareto chart, which category should be addressed first? Longest bar, lowest frequency, highest frequency or impact, shortest bar. Let's see. Okay, highest frequency or impact, right? All right. So the Pareto charts are used everywhere, understanding the pattern of the occurrence of the problem, judging the relative impact of various parts of the problem, tracking down the biggest contributors of the problem, and deciding where to focus the efforts. If this is clear, type super clear in the chat box. And the last question maybe of the day is, what is recommended categories? Okay, what is the recommended action or categories that contribute minimally to the overall problem of the Pareto charts? What is the recommended action, okay, for the categories that contribute to the minimally overall problem in the Pareto chart? Contribute minimally, ignore them, prioritize them, address them first, or monitor them for changes. Look at the question carefully. What is the recommended action for the categories that contribute minimally to the overall problem? All right, let's see the answers. Please ignore them, okay? Okay. Okay, so in the next session, we will talk about the voice of the customer. Okay, all of you type